Hey, everybody. Look, it's Hustlers Horizon podcast, and this is the 10th episode.
10th.
Moving fast. We're having a lot of fun. And today we have a special guest, Haley Sparks, another woman entrepreneur. Killing it, Pedro.
That's twice. That's
killing
two.
it. Killing it. It's time. The time is here. So, Haley, you have rebuilt now. You've had this business for about 7 years. I want you to tell the subscribers, the viewers, what is Rebuilt?
Oh, okay. So this is a holistic nutrition company, and Pedro, you know this more than anybody, that I've been an athlete all my life. And so going into college as a collegiate athlete, struggling with an eating disorder, this is really where the testimony of my business has come from, is not going to dietitian or counselors to get help for this. I've literally had to figure this out on my own. And so I've done so by, living the journey, also got the certification, but really living the journey that's really given me the experience, the platform, the relatability. And so that's what Rebuilt is. It's where we get down to the root causes of why people aren't able to make progress. Maybe it's mentally, emotionally, physically. And then we rebuild their habits, their routines, their lifestyle to hit the goals that they want long term. And then they stick. So I love the progress and process of doing so.
That's sweet, man.
And I would imagine being in something like that and doing it for 7 years. You first off, that means you love what you do. And you said that you go back to your high school days and you've found a way instead of going to doctors and looking at this, and then you get into that. And I would imagine, how does it feel whenever you put these plans and stuff together? You get people on this track, and you said they stick with it, because a lot of people, I know that's hard to stick with when it comes to anything like that. Yeah, sticking with it for sure. How does it feel whenever, number one, you're seeing these clients see results, but then they stick with it? How does that feel to you?
That's the whole point, is like, I want you to be able to feel like I accomplished something, not like by the end of the 12 weeks, but forever, and I feel a sense of accomplishment and just true happiness whenever a client gets that, because I love seeing, 4 or 5 months later, they've lost the 50 pounds that they wanted to lose in, the whole year, and they've done so. And it's just, we had the 3 months where they've got that motivation and realized that they can actually do it with realistic action steps for their life. And then they hit that 50-year mark for the year. And it's like, wow, I'm not even like truly dieting. I'm just like learning how to do this thing with balance, right?
Yeah.
So it's such a reward, because I just remember feeling in that spot. I remember running down 4th Street in Canyon as I was like a collegiate runner, running 80 miles a week, like eating 1,000 calories a day, like nothing.
Oh, dang.
It was bad. And I just remember thinking, literally, I was like, I'll never be able to have bread again. And it was just such a tragic thought. Like, guys, that's relatable. That's such a tragic thought, but that's extremity of my grievance over food, right? So to be able to help clients like out of that mindset, to be okay with having pizza and things like that, and then still make progress, that's a win,
Oh, yeah.
That's sweet, man. Like, I see a lot of the things you post and stuff, and I've even reached out for us,
Yeah.
So I plan on doing that eventually, but
It'll happen.
Like we were talking about, that is the hardest part of sticking to it with it,
Oh, yeah.
Because you can lose those pounds and then go back to your old ways and you gain them back.
Most definitely.
So that's good that you're working with people to do that. What has been one of the craziest transformations you've seen?
I would say like that 50 pounds, and that's just because it wasn't the end point of the journey, I've seen a client go as far as 80 pounds past that, like almost 100 pounds, you know.
In 1 year? In a year?
Oh no, it would this is the thing, is people think it takes, 7, 8, 9 months, and that sounds like such a long time. If people will give themselves 1 to 2 years, legitimately, they will hit that goal, know. It takes time to go through the ebbs and flows of someone's lifestyle, the down moments where you don't have that motivation. But as long as you truly don't give up and you have that like accountability where it's like you didn't completely throw in the towel, but even if you did, you still got back on track.
Kept going.
That's the best thing about my client that lost that weight is like, we saw the progress pictures from even October until now. She looks like a completely different person. The weight on the scale is literally like a pound difference, but she's making those internal differences.
Yeah.
And with consistency, it doesn't matter that she's literally had probably 3 or 4 weeks of that time where it's been traveling, vacation. Look, we even had Thanksgiving and Christmas during that time, and it was just a completely different change. So I just like it. Like you said, like when people just kind of get it, That's the best part.
I feel like that's the hardest part. During
And
the
it's
holidays.
the hardest part.
Yeah.
Oh, and the holidays.
The holidays.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
Exactly.
What is the hardest part? Is it the nutrition? I guess the working out, the schedule. What's the hardest part of all that?
Ready? Accountability.
Okay.
Like long-term accountability. It's like with anything, long-term accountability in the gym, long-term accountability prepping, long-term accountability with your nutrition.
Yeah.
It's always the consistency with those things because of the lack of usually accountability. So, but I would say the nutrition, if we're getting down to one of those aspects, because we like to go all in or fad diet, or we don't know how it works because we're not a specialist in that area. You know, we're not all born with this same kind of passion.
No, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it takes a while to learn those things. So I would say the nutrition, just because it's an area that we really don't have a lot of expertise in.
I feel like that's where I struggle with my nutrition.
We can YouTube stuff for like the gym or you know, just look at stuff.
But not food.
But not food. That's easy enough, you know. We can look at how to diet, but it's doing it that's hard.
And food's just so good.
It is so good.
Yeah, it is.
And then you try the healthy stuff. I tried the that healthy pizza or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it
how
don't
was
taste
it?
the same.
Okay, you know, I almost fell into that. I almost wanted to try it. I was like, I wonder if.
I'm like, man, it's so hard. But
So another question I have is you know, you talked about it when we first, you know, started the conversation. What, you know, you go through high school and that was did you know this is something you wanted to do at that point?
You know, I don't think so, because it was just like through honestly childhood trauma that led to that eating disorder that really revealed how much I enjoyed the eating disorder, or not enjoyed the eating disorder, enjoyed the nutrition part, but it was being manipulated by my eating disorder. You know, so it was almost like my passion in the opposite direction. In the negative direction was where my pull was going, instead of like the passion for the positive direction of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like I've had that passion, but it was just being manipulated through like childhood trauma in
Most
the
definitely.
exact opposite way. Right.
So that leads you to now, then you jump into this business. Now, just like any other business, and we talk about it, it's a leap. It's a leap of faith that you have to take. So,
Yes, it is.
and especially with this business is so unique to really, not only did you start doing it for yourself, but then it was a passion and you said, now let me do this for others.
Yeah.
How did that whole process go? And I mean, I would imagine, just like any business, you face kind of trials and tribulations, right?
Yeah.
How was that starting out to get into this business right here? Not only being able to take care of yourself nutrition wise,
That's right.
but now you have other people coming to you for that advice. How did that whole process go? And how did you get to where you are today?
So, post running, okay, there was a whole journey, but I'm actually a CrossFit athlete now. Like I compete professionally in CrossFit. So I'm in that realm, and I got into a CrossFit gym is where I got my certification for nutrition. So this is where I kind of got the intro into it. However, I started, you know, doing the numbers and everything, and I'm like, man, and I'm so independent and stuff anyways. And you know, entrepreneurs, we're hustlers.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
most
I mean,
definitely.
like, look at your name, right?
Yeah.
So we know how to work. So I was like, I know I can put the work in, and I know I can charge what I'm worth, right?
Exactly.
And make literally triple what, if not literally more than that, for what I was making. So I took a leap of faith out of the CrossFit gym to be like, do you know what? I'm going to open my own brand, because I started having, what happened was I started having like a wait list of like 25 people.
Oh,
and I was
wow.
like, oh my gosh, like
That's awesome.
I have the clientele.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I would just ideally, I would just roll them over into my company, and then I would start making 100% of what that fee was.
Yeah.
So that was like the whole idea. A little bumpy road with the whole transition of, okay, I was now certified coach for underneath the gym. I got to branch out my own certification.
Yeah.
So there's a little trickiness in there, but having that, you know, like I said, experience, having the position in the gym, those kinds of things that help build up that clientele to where I could just kind of pick up where I left off.
Exactly.
And it was smooth. It started rolling.
Yeah.
Started, you know, getting the wait list again, and then charging more, and then just perfecting that art. Started getting partnerships with doctors. So that's really where a lot of my clientele
awesome.
comes from now, is those referrals, because doctors see that this is an internal fix rather than just a weight loss thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's good. And and then I see a lot of your videos and stuff. You're pretty good at like marketing. You're
Thanks,
always out
Pedro.
trying to. You're always like out in the news. Have you seen her in the news?
Yeah, a few times.
You
That's
do a
what
lot
we're talking
of
about.
those. So
Yeah.
You're doing it. You're putting the time into it. You're doing what it takes to be successful. What does Rebuilt look like for you, like in the next 5 years?
Cool. So I want my coaches. I want to build that clientele. So I only take a specific number of clientele, really, really limited. So I don't have no 30 amount wait list nowadays. I have like a very short list of clientele so I can spend more time with them. But that's so I can grow coaches up to start building their business under Rebuilt, accepting the clients, and kind of build the empire that way. So ideally, I would love a solid 5 or 6 coaches underneath me, each having 15, 16 clients of themselves.
That'd be cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's more of like that mailbox income for an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But also I can take the 3 to 4 of my own and still kind of have the cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Exclusivity.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Well, so and just like you mentioned, so we hear the plan, which is an amazing plan, and I'd imagine you're going to exceed that and more. Now, we talked about a little bit when you showed up to the studio about a little bit about the ministry and how you're speaking, you're doing a lot of events that keeps you busy. Let's talk about that. How has that benefited you, but also kind of benefited back into the business?
Yeah. So, I said it's been like a year and a half since I've really gotten into ministry. I thought that I was giving up nutrition coaching. Like I had a come to Jesus moment where I literally turned my life over to God like a year and a half ago. I quit living lukewarm. I decided I was all in. And I was like, God, if you want me to give up my nutrition company, I will. And I literally thought that was the direction it was going. So I took that step back, got into theology school and things like that. But kept my small clientele. But, the ministry side, it's really brought in the bigger picture of even the nutrition side of things now. It's like, hey, we're not just fighting a war against, our mentality with food. We're fighting a war against the enemy too.
Yeah.
So I incorporate that into our coaching of like, hey, we need to realize that we are on the winning side here. We need to learn how to pray maturely against these things and to walk in that victory and freedom that we deserve to have.
Yeah.
Because it's so realistic that we can do that. Like you can break the strongholds of addictions that people have struggled with their whole life, not realizing that this is a spiritual battle. So, like when people get into, like I was somebody that was afflicted by addiction of the eating disorder and bondage of those things. So if we can break that, then you're really not battling the things that you've unnecessarily battled all along. So the ministry has given me a deeper purpose in my nutrition coaching, but also is just in life also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, Haley, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. Anytime we have someone on here and they're not afraid to mention their faith, because I know there's a lot of podcasts or whatever that it's kind of like, hey, we got to kind of keep it to the low here.
Yeah.
It's be yourself. And I love when people talk about their faith, and the fact that you're utilizing that and you're incorporating it with your business is awesome. That's admirable.
Thank
because
you.
You have your clientele that is coming to you for that advice, that they may be discouraged because of their weight, or they feel like, they're in this dark spot, and then you get them on that nutrition path and they start seeing results. But not only that, then you're speaking your faith into them. You're speaking, life into them. And that right there is awesome. And because I believe in anything we do, God is the foundation, and he should be. If he's not the foundation, then whatever you're building is not going to last. And that's just the way I feel. And what I want to talk about is, so now you're doing the ministry. What, for me, is you're also staying in you're staying in front of people. You were saying you do plenty of podcasts and you're on the news. And I've seen you on social media. You're staying in front of people. And the good thing about it, though, is you're not staying in front of people just for yourself, right? It's what you do. I truly believe it. And you saying that is you're wanting to give life to people, speak life to people. So how has that, when you said about a year ago you turned your life completely around, you just full control. Yeah. Since you've done that, how has everything been even now? I'm sure it was good before, right? But then question. You turn it to God. Isn't it amazing how he opens up so many doors? How has that been for you?
Man, like that's such a good question. It's prospered, like less clients. How am I making more income? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like more qualified clients with a higher income package. Yeah. Like those little small things, when you turn it to him, he will take what the enemy has taken from you and he will multiply it, or he will double it, Yeah. And if you walk in that truth, it's not manifesting it. It's literally just believing what God has given you.
Exactly.
So it's helped me walk into an abundance that I already had, right? But now I'm walking into it. But it's also given me the opportunity to speak into so many more youth. Yeah. Like this whole being faith-based and not afraid to speak it and having that like boldness. I always say like God gave me red hair because I'm a firecracker, and it was literally prophetic because I'm like, dude, someone needed to be bold and like outspoken. You know, I told you I'm loud. I'm like, it's that Holy Spirit boldness in me. You know, I'm just literally not allowed to speak about, or not afraid to speak about the hard things, and that alone has put me in front of so many high schools and so many FCA groups across Texas and colleges, even back in my alma mater, the WT campus, things like that. So yes, nutrition gave me a whole platform. Awesome. We're learning how to get healthy and utilize that into our athletic careers, into our work life, into our family life. But this whole faith thing, like, it's given me, and I prayed for this, platforms to literally speak about how good God can turn your situation around if you just give it to him, you know? And it's because I cannot, you know, I don't ever want to, at the end of this whole life and journey and stuff, and be like, I missed the opportunity to tell somebody else what they could have had, right? And I get that now to the extremity. And so I just like, I can't help but talk about it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You were talking about the speaking events you do for high schools and things like that. What does that look like? What do you do?
Oh, cool.
Or what does that involve?
It kind of depends. So some high schools, they want me to come to they have a host, like a mom that hosts like a group of kids at their house.
At their house, I got
you know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's intimate like that, where I'm speaking to like maybe a specific sport, right?
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's actually at the school and it's in front of the whole athletes team, you know, football, baseball, soccer, basketball, like in front of all of those guys. Or you know, sometimes it's in front of the football team only. Like I'll have specific coaches that approach me and they're like, hey, I want you to come talk to our football guys on how not to like use their muscle for their energy or whatever. So, you know, I'll tell them to go eat, you know, get their protein, drink their water, stuff like that. So it depends on like, they know where I'm at, so that it depends on what they want.
I got you. What's the biggest audience you've had?
Ooh, the WT campus, the WT athletes. You know, I talked to their FCA team also, so that was, you know, a good 100 people. But I would say the FCA campus, really. So there was the football team, you know.
So you're comfortable doing this?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable, which is crazy because like in UIL in high school, like I was like, I was in a speaking event where you write a paper. I was really good at writing, but then you had to memorize it, and then oral reading, I think is what it's called. And then you speak it out loud. I literally froze up in front of those 3 judges, couldn't remember a single thing that I wrote. Like, I got so nervous and scared and shaky in front of anybody I would speak to, even one-on-one, until probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Or I would say 5 or 6 years ago, which is kind of crazy to think about considering how like outspoken I am now.
I kind of wanted to talk about that, or high school, because we went to high school together. Dude, she was a beast. Like
and there's 2 of me.
Track, and then she has a twin. So they were just killing it. Like, everybody knew them. They killed it at whatever they did. So that's pretty cool. Let's talk about that. How did that? Because you went to WT, right? To run track or cross country?
Yeah, it was both track and cross country.
Cool. How was that?
Yeah, so, you know, I wanted to do basketball, really, but
I didn't want
to be away from Taylor, too, you know, so we had to stick together in this.
There you go.
And I'm glad that we did. It was just always better. So we had to, like, we got suggested to walk on, basically, is what it was. So we basically had to prove our spot. So our freshman year, we walked on, and then ended up sticking around and just got better and better, because coming from a 1A school, you know how the coaching is, right? It's just, like, who's available to do it. So when you have like professional coaches and coaches that know what they're doing, I mean, I went from running, you know, a 12-minute 2-mile to like a 10:40 2-mile, you know, or like a 6:30-minute mile to a 4:57 mile. It was just crazy. So I loved it. You know, I even went abroad and ran in Spain my last year in college too. I didn't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know. That's cool.
So my teammate, she was from Spain, so she got me the hookup when I went and studied abroad. So running was a huge part of my life for a long time.
I remember our Coach Bailey.
Yes.
He would be like, Pedro, try to keep up with them. Or
I
try to
remember
match
that.
him. I was like, dude, they're kicking my ass.
The cat and mouse.
Yes.
All right. You tell us to go catch you guys.
Yeah. They're
like, all right, go get
them.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was fun.
Hey, I used to be all right.
For real. He was fast. Pedro was really fast, I bet you still are.
I don't know. I'm getting old. My back hurts.
It's the knees. Like, I'm always like, oh, I'm healthy. You know, my knees are invincible. I just had knee surgery, 5 weeks ago.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
Walking
intense.
Good.
And
Thank
then,
you. Yeah.
so you had knee surgery and you're still just killing it in CrossFit?
But that's what people think. And I'm like, do y'all guys not, like, humbly, I've been doing physical therapy for 2 years now, solid. I have not ran and squat for 2 years. And people are like, oh, you kill it in the gym. I'm like, thank you, but I'm like, I'm doing physical therapy, it's just guided.
Yeah.
And I also have a coach, a personalized coach that helps me train through the modifications too. But, I haven't trained in probably two and a half years because I've
Yeah.
had
Wow.
this modification with my meniscus.
Oh,
But
So-
didn't you just win one like a month ago?
I did. And my doctor was like,
That's
how did
crazy.
you do that? I was like, by God, the grace of God.
That's
Yeah.
And he was
awesome.
like, it really was supernatural because my knee and stuff was not, I should have not been able to do those things. And it
Yeah.
was the biggest comp in Texas and I won it.
Wow.
And it was
That's
just
wild.
like, I know. It was nuts. It was such a crazy weekend.
So proud of you. So proud
Thank
of
you.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. So you just out here just killing it. Just killing it. That's all
Almost
I'm hearing.
accidentally. Yeah.
So I want to talk to you whenever you start a business, anyone gets into business, we like to ask this, is there someone you looked up to, or even now, is there like a certain book you read, a podcast you listen to, someone that really just motivates you to just keep going?
I think it was my papa, actually, which would make sense because you know him, you know?
Yeah.
And now even knowing like who he is now, I feel like that makes sense. But I was always just drawn. So we grew up in Boys Ranch, which I don't know if you're familiar where that's at. It's usually for people that don't grow up with their mom and dad. So Taylor and I, we grew up with our grandparents. And so
Okay.
we've always had my papa as like a role model.
Yeah.
And just knowing who he is now, I see that he came from nothing.
Yeah.
And like he's basically a Hall of Fame cross country coach. A big deal, like started the thing, but so humble, and then is so knowledgeable. Like started cross country in Boys Ranch, which has like a record of how many state wins they have.
Yeah.
Like just insane of just
Yeah.
who he is and the respect he has. So I think I've always just been drawn to him and like just tried to learn from him, right?
Yeah,
so
most
if he was
definitely.
reading a cross country book, I read that one too.
Yeah.
So it was whatever he was reading, I was reading too, and
Yeah.
picked up all those nuggets. So I think that growing up, back in those days, it was my papa, right?
Yeah.
But even so now, I feel like him and even my coach, I feel like is a big mentor for
Yeah.
me.
That's
He's
awesome.
always been there, like as y'all's motivation, right? I remember
Yeah.
he would attend all the events.
I mean, homeboy went everywhere.
Everywhere.
Washington, like
It's crazy.
Arkansas,
Yeah.
like he's 83 years old, and I'm like, dude, doesn't age,
Yeah. That's
He's
awesome.
He's awesome.
So, and that's really cool. Whenever I ask that question, it's always cool when it's a family member or a grandparent or a parent.
I
Because
can't even think of anybody else.
yeah, and that's because that's right. That's in your heart. That's where it's at. And to hear that and the impact he's had, and I say he still has, in your life, and then what you're doing. It's awesome to see. And then you of course, you have God as the foundation. I can only imagine he's been that foundation for your family for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. So now you're doing it. So you've been doing this for 7 years, right? Or a
Yeah.
little longer.
Yeah, 7 years.
7 years. So let's talk a little bit about whenever you started going on to these shows and doing interviews, right? How long ago did you start? Like, when was like the first time you stepped out, did an interview for somebody?
It was for my nutrition company. So this is where the favor has happened, right? And I've realized this as I've come closer to God too, of how he's put me in situations that have been divine, right?
Yeah.
And it was, so HSN is who I got my certification for. They are the biggest nutrition company worldwide, but for the CrossFit Games. So that was already a really great connection, right? So the owner of the company actually asked me to be on the podcast with them. So that was my very first one, humbly.
Yeah.
And, oh, it was so cool now that you think about it,
Yeah.
So that was my first one.
Well, that's awesome. And so I'd imagine it just, when you did it, you were a little nervous, I'd imagine, or was it just kind of like natural?
Oh, I was
boom?
excited.
You're
Yeah.
excited?
I don't know when it really happened that I just had this confidence to just speak, right?
Yeah.
But no script is better for me,
No, most definitely. That's what we're talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't want to get in here and be like, all right, here's the script. We're going to ask
See
this
people's
question.
eyes
and
do
then-
this number.
Yeah, the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's so just to see the growth of how far you've come, to hear that story. That's what it's all about. That's why we bring people on here. And so we've already talked about what the plan is for the next 5 years to 10 years. You're going to keep killing it, I would imagine. So what does the process look like? If somebody goes to you and they're like, look, I'm just kind of miserable. I'm chunky. Yeah. Like if I hit you up tomorrow, so like, hey, like I want to lose weight. I want to see results, this and that. How does that process look like when someone comes to you? What does that process look like for them?
Well, because it is such a personal and intimate journey, right? I want to know everything about everything. So we start with a 1 hour initial consult where I learn everything from the moment they wake up, what they consume kind of usually, their sleep habits, like their support system, their grocery routines, like all those things. And I'm taking notes, all that stuff. And then I have an app and we start to create a linear plan to tackle those troublesome areas and reshape it in a realistic way. So in those 12 weeks, I tell people, realistically, you can reestablish probably about 4 constant things that you can continue to make progress on after the program. Here's a stat. So when we focus on 2 things at a time, we have a 30% chance on retaining those things more after a 90-day period. If we focus on 1 thing at a time for a 90-day period, you have an 80% chance of maintaining that. That's why I might give yourself 1 to 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So if we can get like 3 or 4 things done in those 12 weeks, then that's a big deal. So we pick one and start creating that path, right? That linear progress. And in the app, you can see the consistency of how often we're hitting those things.
Okay.
We have weekly Zoom calls. We have a daily messaging box in there too. So we're really just in tune with what's going on.
Yeah.
And we start to build on those things.
Do you help with like the workout plan and all that?
I help with establishing like say, you want to go to the gym, right? But you're wanting to go 4 or 5 times a week and you're only going 2 times a week. Okay, well, let's find a way that we can go 4 or 5 times a week.
Oh, okay.
I don't create the
Workout.
plan.
Yeah.
I probably could do something like that, but I more so create like, how are you going to make working out something that you're actually doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have let's do this. I need to lose 10 pounds in 2 months. What do I do?
10 pounds in 2 months. That's realistic because 1 to 2 pounds a week is realistic when you're not starving yourself.
I know, but we've talked about this
Yes,
before.
I know.
I was like, man, I'm hungry.
Yes. A lot of times, Pedro, it comes down to, people have surgery over this, is portion control. So even if you are having something like pizza, having the 1 to 2 slices instead of the 2 to 3, boom, progress, And like I was saying about that client that has gone from October until now, with those kinds of things, people don't believe me.
Yeah.
If you make those kinds of changes, you still make progress.
Yeah, because
So
I go to the gym every day, every morning.
And you get your water,
I drink my water.
get your sleep.
I get...
Yeah.
Oh, okay, boom. We found an area. That can make you pause weight.
How much sleep should I get?
At least 7 to 8 hours.
What?
Even 6 to 7 hours, you can hold a lot of inflammation and cortisol because your body's not recovering and resting. It's the only time you're still.
So 4 to 5 hours.
I
is
did
not good.
notice though, whenever I weigh myself and then I wake up and weigh myself again, I'm like 2 pounds lighter.
Boom. Okay.
Why does that happen?
I'm telling you, like sleep, your body literally can kind of like think about it pulsating during the day because of all the stress and inflammation. Well, when you're sleeping, it's kind of like just
Relaxed.
relaxing.
So I'm not
it's
chunky,
so
I'm just
inflammation.
stressed.
You're not chunky, you're swollen.
Your soul, boy.
Yes, you're swollen. No, people can lose 11, 12 pounds from inflammation alone, just from controlling cortisol.
I think alcohol does that to you. Cause
for sure.
When I quit drinking, dude, 20 pounds.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But sleep too, Pedro. Like I had a client that literally lost, I think it was 7 pounds in 2 weeks when she added 1 hour of sleep to her day.
I might need to try that because I get like 4 or 5.
Okay, start there. Boom. Okay, and then also,
But how do you find that time to sleep?
see, this is where the routines and habits.
His
okay?
mind just runs and runs
Yep,
and
this
runs.
is where the routines and habits come
At
in.
nights, whenever I get my gears going.
Rolling.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds like we need to work together, to be honest.
I'm telling you, we need to set something up. Me, you, and Cassie, for sure.
But that's why, it does go back to the routines and habits. Because I can tell you, 7 to 8 hours. Okay, but the biggest problem here is like, how do I get that in?
Yeah.
Well, we need to start making a afternoon routine, where you have actual things where your body gets ready for bed and it knows it's getting ready for bed by 9 o'clock. Yeah. So that's the sleep habits make the impact. But also a lot of people don't realize like they could make a lot of difference in their weight just by like the hydration thing, right? But stress alone, their stress management alone can make a huge difference in their weight. So it's not just the nutrition thing. But if we're going nutrition route, the portion control is a huge first step. And then also, I call it the plate method, but it's really making sure that you're getting enough vegetables in and then eating them first before you eat the carbs, okay? Because if people eat like a salad before they go eat their pasta and stuff, they generally don't eat as much pasta, right? And then you're getting all the vitamins and minerals too. So if you can even train yourself to eat the 2 handfuls, really, unless you have a sleeve, like I always say 1 handful, but 2 handfuls really before any of those like kind of heavier home style meals, then you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So that's realistic too.
I'll have to try that.
So do you believe, or let me ask you how you feel on this, cheat days? What does that look like?
Yeah, I feel like that's just a not balanced mindset with food. You know, because if you're using it as like a cheat day, you know, well then why are all those things such a why are you depriving yourself of those things? You know, like we need to learn how to eat the ice cream and not gain weight also, right? I literally had a what was it? This place, the best burgers, what are they called? Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
Okay, so I literally had a Blue Sky burger yesterday,
good, huh?
all right? I didn't wake up a pound heavier, all right? Like, and the fried jalapenos. Like, I normally don't eat those kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
But I had the burger. I woke up, I got on the scale just to see, all right? Just to see.
If it did
I didn't
anything.
even gain a pound, guys. You know, like, that would be normally considered a cheat meal for somebody.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's not a cheat meal?
To me, it's balance, you know?
right.
Because guess what? Over time, consistency, your body's like, yeah, that was probably a 700 or 800 calorie surplus for the day, but
Yeah.
2 or 3 days later, it all balanced out again.
Yeah.
So-
And it's crazy when you start paying attention to the calories.
Oh,
on
yeah,
things,
look at that.
Or like, holy smokes, you're eating like 2,000 calories sometimes.
Boom.
For dinner.
Oh,
For
yeah.
lunch.
Yeah.
When I started doing that, I was like, holy crap, 5 wings and a salad.
Yeah.
1,200 calories.
Yes, Chick-fil-A meal alone could be 3/4 of someone's day.
Yeah.
Their calories.
Oh, man, it's crazy, but
Yeah.
I need to improve on that for sure.
Well, I definitely need to improve on a lot. I've been cheating every day. So this is my favorite part when we get to this point. And
Yeah.
Haley, congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
It's been awesome getting to hear your story. We know we're going to hear from you again. We love to bring people on. We want to bring people we've interviewed to hear their story in a few months even. So you took that leap and you have so much a God as your foundation, which number one is awesome. I love that. That's my favorite part of this whole interview and everything
Cool.
else. But
Thank you for saying that.
Of course. So you have that. What is some advice to a lady entrepreneur? There's a girl out there, maybe a young girl, maybe someone older who has been wanting to start the business. They've been wanting to take that leap. You did it. You have the faith. What is that advice you would give to that young girl, that older woman that
Yeah.
still want? Because time, hey, we have nothing but time.
Yeah.
So it's never too late. What's that advice you would give to them?
This is an easy one because this is fail-proof, right? When you already are thinking about going out on a limb and starting your own business, you already have enough faith in what you're doing and enough passion in what you're doing. It's just a matter of doing it, right? So I would say just don't stop. You know, it's
Yeah.
the consistency thing in literally everything that we do that, you know, even the marketing, right? People can do so well, but they fall off a lot of times in like even a year from now, right? So even just do it, right?
Yeah.
Stay consistent and just do it because it's not a lack of passion. It's not a lack of faith in that you won't do it, right? God gave you that specific idea even for a reason, but also he equips you with those things to work out,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, it's almost fail-proof if you have the true faith and the passion for it, right? Just be consistent in it.
Yeah.
Don't get, because it's going to get hard,
Yeah.
right? There are those ebbs and flows. It's like, am I going to be able to pay bills this month? Am I going to be able to like, what happens if I don't have a clientele? Blah, blah, blah. It will be okay. It's a test, faith test.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just know
Exactly.
where your faith comes from, right?
Most
And just
definitely.
keep pursuing it.
That's
So,
awesome.
Just know it's a fail-proof thing. It really is a fail-proof
Yeah.
thing when you have that passion and faith behind it. You know?
Yeah.
That's great advice.
That's a good
That
answer.
fired me up.
Come on.
That fired me
Like
up.
I
Let's
said,
go.
we get a Bible and we start preaching in here, you know?
go,
Anything
yes.
over 30 minutes, we'll start preaching.
Let's start our
I
mantic.
warned you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we talked about on the last episode. Cassie was talking about the boutique, and we got to talking about like, man, is there anything like that for men?
A mantique.
A mantique.
Oh, there needs to be. You know how many men are extra in this place? Like, and they need to be, right? Go take care of yourself. Go get your facial. Go be bougie and
That's
stuff
funny.
like that.
No, but Haley, so I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
You've done a lot of great things.
Appreciate
Kicking
it.
ass.
You too.
And we're so proud of you. Where can people find you?
Basically all socials, right? I'm really active on Instagram. I have my my website, which is Rebuilt Life Coaching, which has all of my socials on there. So that's the quickest way to find me, right? But we're always on social media. So type me in Haley Sparks Pulling on Instagram. You'll find me. And that's really an easy way to get a hold of me.
Easy enough.
Awesome. Well, Haley, again, congratulations on everything.
Thank
We're
you.
excited to have you. On top of everything that you're doing, you made time to be here on Hustlers Horizon podcast, and we are
Almost.
honored. We love it, and we appreciate you giving us that time. Everybody, Hustlers Horizon podcast, episode 10. It has been fun getting to talk to Haley. Y'all make sure to go check out Rebuilt. Get you a good nutrition plan. Make sure to get your sleep. Don't be like us and sleep for 4 or 5 hours or not sleep at all. Guys, we appreciate the support. This is Hustlers Horizon, where we hustle up, level up, shift the mindset, build a better us to build a better business. We appreciate you guys again. And again, thank you so much, Haley, for coming on.
Thank you.
Sweet.